Good evening and welcome to a program devoted entirely to lefties losing it. More daft celebrity advice, this time from pop star Billie Eilish and some dude, I don't know who he is, saying if you don't vote Democrat, your life will be over. These people are nuts.
We are voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz because they are fighting to protect our reproductive freedom, our planet, and our democracy.
We can't let extremists control our lives, our freedoms, and our future. The only way to stop them and the dangerous Project 2025 agenda is to vote and elect Kamala Harris.
Vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
Yeah, your life depends on it. Project 25 lies, demented hysteria, doomsday predictions, they really do count on their fans to be low info dimwits. Talking about unsolicited advice, here is LGBTQIA++ activist Jeffrey Marsh, again advising folks to end contact with family members who are toxic.
When I went no contact with my mom, this was a few years ago, all I could do at the time was text her and say, I'm not coming home for the holidays and you won't be seeing me for a while. And she texted back in all caps, what the does that mean? And I blocked her. That was it. That's the last thing that I remember we ever said to each other.
Hope you have a bucket handy, because this next clip of MSNBC's Jen Psaki interviewing Kamala Harris's husband, Doug, may make you nauseous.
Important part, or an interesting part of how people have talked about your role here is how your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this.
You have reshaped the perception of masculinity. She actually said that. Did you circle back to your bucket yet? Just a reminder for those who don't know, this is the same man who was sleeping with the nanny while his first wife was at work. He even got the nanny pregnant. Yeah, that sounds like the type of masculinity every gal craves. Ugh. Let's cross now to Gaza, or is it Fallujah or Kabul? Oh no, it's Melbourne, Australia, where scenes like this are becoming commonplace. People supporting Hezbollah. Nothing to worry about there, and sadly there were similar scenes and chants in Sydney as well. Don't worry, the anti-Israeli zealotry is spread across all our capital cities, and it's not just immigrants from those regions that are chanting this ugly stuff. It's the local lefties we've produced in this country who are pushing this toxic agenda. It is absolutely appalling. Now, here is proof that even the dimmest of dim dolts can somehow become a billionaire. Let's look at some of Mark Cuban's work. This is from a few years back with the devastatingly unfunny Stephen Colbert. And I apologise in advance for the extreme levels of cringe you're about to experience.
Donald, do you know that to be a billionaire, you have to have the billion part in your bank account? Not just the air.
Tom, you just fell into the Shark Tank.
Donald, I know you have no shot with Hispanics, because there's no way in hell you're getting the Cuban vote. Donald, the only way you're worth 10 billion is if I paid you $9.5 billion to wash my.
Oh dear, and it appears Mark Cuban has learned nothing from embarrassing himself in front of the world. He is a source of amusement constantly on X, where he tweets the most absurd stuff. And if that's not enough humiliation, he took that same absurdity on CNBC, only to be slapped down with facts and logic.
When she was unable to answer the question about are you better off now than 4 years ago, I think that was illustrative.
Well, 4 years ago, literally, we're in a pandemic. It was an easy answer.
We can look at exactly what happened. He's already been president, and we can look at what happened when she was vice president, and it's not good. The comparison.
Being the president, Joe, as you know, is different than being vice president. It's not close, right?
So she can take credit for the good things that happened with Biden, but she didn't have anything to do with the bad things.
Now, this is delicious. This lefty losing it gal approaches Charlie Kirk and Vivek Ramaswamy with what she thinks is a brilliant gotcha question that will leave them exposed as immoral fools. But sadly for her, she's the one who looks like an utter imbecile.
I just have a simple yes or no question. If the only way to ban abortion forever would be to bring back slavery, would you do it?
No.
No?
No. I wouldn't bring back slavery to try to limit murder. No.
Okay.
What kind of outrageous question is that, by the way? If the only way to limit human suffering is to ban abortion, would you ban abortion?
No.
It was an honest answer. Okay. It was an honest answer.
Yeah.
Better luck next time, love. That did not go as planned. It's been a while since we had a look at the climate cultists of Just Stop Oil. Here they protest human progress and the fact that a couple of their fellow lawless idiots have just been jailed by, attacking a great piece of art with cans of soup. Listen to the reaction of the other people in the gallery.
People in prison demanding an end to new oil and gas, something which is now government policy. After sustained disruptive actions, countless headlines, and the resulting political pressure.
Wouldn't it be nice if schools focused on academic excellence rather than leftist indoctrination? Watch this parent confront a teacher running a Kamala Harris Day at school.
I wouldn't want another child coming in wearing an impeached culture. Does that make sense?
Okay, but you guys are having a Kamala Harris Day.
Yes, and it's in honor of Black History Spirit Week for Black History.
Okay, but you're making it political. Like that's not Black history. You're making a political statement.
I'm not sure how I'm making a political statement.
Kamala Harris Day. She's the current vice president of the United States. Like
yes, and I myself did not make the week up. Have a further conversation if you feel that it is inappropriate for us to have that. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree with you. Just be mindful of that. I'm just doing what I have to do in my position and in my job.
Okay, so are you the one making this decision?
Yes.
Now here is a vile lefty celebrating a deadly, devastating hurricane hitting Republican states. These people are evil.
So when I seen the hurricane hit North Carolina and Tennessee, the first thing I thought was, damn, there goes some racists. There we go, we got some gone. And then I just seen this video that like the area it hit is like sundown town after sundown town after sundown town, and they are just completely flattened and gone. And I was like, God's work. God's work.
I have no words for that, really. And I regret to inform you now that Kamala is back at it, back with the word salads, the non-answers, the endless references to her childhood when asked serious questions about the economy and small business. Just listen to this mess.
Moving forward for people who are living paycheck to paycheck and struggling for groceries and rent and homeowners.
So, look, I grew up, so my sister and I were raised by our mother. We lived for a long time in an apartment on top of a child care center. That child care center was actually owned by a woman who lived 2 doors down from us, Mrs. Shelton, who was, by all of our accounts and feelings, our second mother. She helped raise us. And so she was a small business owner. So I'll start with the small business, and congratulations on what you guys have done. I, from a child, knew who our small business owners are, right?
So she knew from when she was a child what a small business owner was because she knew one. Great. What has that got to do with anything? Maybe there will be an answer to a straightforward question in this next bit. Fingers crossed.
I mean, you're business leaders, but you're also civic leaders. You take seriously your voice and how you can mentor, how you can grow, right? Communities and the sense of communities. I love our small businesses. And so a lot of my work in terms of building and growing the economy has focused on small businesses. And my vision overall is we need to build an opportunity economy in which we increase opportunity for all, including small business owners. So I've been responsible for billions of dollars more now going into our community banks, because they're in the community and then they know who's in the community and where the talent is and who's doing good in the community, what the community wants.
Yes, community banks, they're in the community, for the community. Yeah, spending billions, that sounds a bit like communism. Doesn't sound like she has any idea about small business. And here is further proof of that. Here is Kamala with Hollywood actress Jessica Alba. Even she looks a little bit confused about this.
First of all, Latina small businesses are the fastest growing in the country.
Yes, they are.
Right?
Yes, they are.
But included in that is that we don't lack for people who have ambition and have aspirations and dreams and an idea that is a great idea and work ethic. But not everybody has access to the capital.
It's so true.
And I believe strongly that our small businesses are the backbone of America's economy. So when we grow and strengthen small businesses, we all benefit.
Now, this is a miracle. There's actually a funny skit from Saturday Night Live. Get ready to laugh.
Listen up, everyone. We couldn't have gotten here without one man, and his name is Joe Biden. Get on out here, Joe Biden.
That's right. A lot of people forget I'm president, including me. But guess what? And by the way, I'm being serious right now. Come on. And guess what? And by the way, the fact of the matter is, the rich don't pay their fair share.
Now, it doesn't get more wacky than this. Here is Fran Lebowitz on Bill Maher's program advocating for President Joe Biden to abolish the Supreme Court. These are the people telling you Republicans are extremists and Trump is a threat to democracy.
It's not even a court. It's only a court in the sense that the court of Louis XVI was a court. You know, I mean, basically, it's a harem. Okay? It's a harem. It's Trump's harem. So I always feel sorry for the three real judges on the court. What Biden should do, not that you asked, but when they passed that law, the Supreme Court passed that ruling, you know, where they said, you're not the president, you're the king, which is what that ruling is. You can do whatever you want. You can never be, you know, held responsible. Biden should dissolve the Supreme Court.
Dissolve the Supreme Court?
I'm the president. I'm the king now, like you said, and go home.
Okay.
Even Bill Maher was looking at her like she was a complete wackadoodle. These are mainstream figures in the left. They're not fringe figures, and they are, well, they're lefties losing it. Now to Hurricane Helene, which has caused widespread destruction across a number of US states. But President Joe Biden, well, he is still president. He remained at his Delaware holiday home until earlier today. And he was none too pleased when asked about why he wasn't monitoring this catastrophic event from the White House, like, you know, you'd expect the president to be doing.
Do you expect Iran to retaliate? And the hurricane, Mr. President, why weren't you and Vice President Harris here in Washington commanding this weekend?
I was commanding. I was on the phone for at least 2 hours yesterday and the day before as well. I command. It's called a telephone. It's all my security people.
Is it not important for the country to see?
Let's hear from the main white dude for Kamala, her husband, Doug Emhoff, who stands accused of forcefully slapping a former girlfriend. And we know he cheated on his first wife with the nanny, even got the nanny pregnant. But please, Doug, lecture us about toxic masculinity.
There's too much of toxicity. It's masculine toxicity out there, and we've kind of confused what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, where you've got this trope out there that you've got to be tough and, you know, angry and lash out to be strong.
You don't say, Doug. Thank God no one would claim that you are reshaping the concept of masculinity.
How your role has reshaped the perception of masculinity. And I'm not sure you planned on that, but you are an incredibly supportive spouse. Has that been an evolution for you? And do you think that's part of the role you might play as first gentleman?
It's funny, I've started to think a lot about this. I've always been like this. My dad was like this.
Always been like this. Yikes. The next lefty losing it is a regular on this segment. We've become accustomed to the unhinged musings of Joy-Ann Reid, and here's yet another example.
And so I think that the people who want the fist fight are the base of the Democratic Party. Democrats want to see someone get up there and give a knuckle sandwich to Donald Trump. That's what they want.
But when it comes to MSNBC, you know, there is great competition among the divorce from reality left. They all want to be the most radical, the most crazy. And Nicole Wallace came in with this effort after J.D. Vance's dominant performance in the vice presidential debate. Even the New York Times called it dominant. But according to Wallace, J.D. Vance, fact-checking the biased moderators who happened to be female, amounted to mansplaining, and that would repel female voters.
And I actually think if you're a woman, that might be the worst moment J.D. Vance had, because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women in positions of authority that should command respect just by virtue of that dynamic will see themselves in some dude that disrespected them and talked over. You know, I mean, there was a moment like that with the vice presidential in the Harris-Pence debate.
So women should be treated as equals unless they're leftist activists masquerading as impartial journalists or moderators. Then you should just let them lie without feedback. And here is Rachel Maddow claiming that J.D. Vance was just slick and Tim Walz was the clear winner.
That one of these candidates is much slicker than the other, is a much more practiced kind of professional debate style speaker, and the other candidate won. There was one bad moment for Tim Walz in this debate where he got mixed up and embarrassed in answering a question about exactly what month he had been in China in relation to the Tiananmen Square protest.
Yes, that awkward moment when he lied about lying and then lied some more.
Governor Walz, you said you were in Hong Kong during the deadly Tiananmen Square protests in the spring of 1989. But Minnesota Public Radio and other media outlets are reporting that you actually didn't travel to Asia until August of that year. Can you explain that discrepancy?
Yeah, well, and to the folks out there who didn't get at the top of this, look, I grew up in small rural Nebraska, town of 400, town that you rode your bike with your buddies till the streetlights come on, and I'm proud of that service.
What now? You are proud of riding bikes with your buddies until the lights come on? What does that mean, and what has it got to do with lying about where you were during the Tiananmen Square massacre? Walz's answer was so bizarre that even the biased CBS moderator was compelled to ask a follow-up question after he waffled on like that for more than 2 minutes. Just nonsense about himself that had nothing to do with the question asked.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said.
Tim Walz is so dopey that he makes Joe Biden look cognitively sharp. Joe has said some bizarre stuff over the years, but he's never claimed to be mates with school shooters.
Yeah, I sat in that office with those Sandy Hook parents. I've become friends with school shooters.
Yes, Tim Walz is a masterful communicator, isn't he, Jen?
We've talked about this a little bit when we were sitting over there waiting. I think Tim Walz is one of the best communicators out there in Democratic politics. And he propelled himself onto the ticket because he is such an effective, good communicator.
As we document MSNBC hosts losing it, we cannot overlook the thoroughly wacky Simone Sanders. Here she seems to be upset that Tim Walz was not feral enough. There was too much niceness.
There were so many niceties on that debate stage tonight. I am just kind of like, well, if you agree so much with J.D. Vance, why should they vote for you? I fully believe that Governor Walz went out there tonight and did what was practiced in debate prep. did what the strategy was that the team put together. That was not the Governor Walz that I had seen out on the campaign trail. That's not the Governor Walz that I had seen during the Veep stakes, right?
Of course, Wallace and Maddow are there on the panel, nodding along. And Sanders wasn't done yet. She also thought the biased CBS moderators were not biased enough.
That's not the Margaret and Nora that I know. Margaret don't do that on Sunday morning. So I just think that I know that there's so many people out there that want normal. They want normalcy. They just want, just be able to just disagree with, you said a lot of things I agree with. This is not a normal election. J.D. Vance is actually not Paul Ryan, and Donald Trump sure as heck is not Mitt Romney, okay?
But just when you think Sanders might be the front runner for the most unhinged take of the night, we got this from MSNBC anchor Nicole Wallace.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is that someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just, this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
Now, if you thought it's just unhinged women on MSNBC, then you're wrong. They have many, many equally unhinged men. We just heard Joy Reid talking about Trump being punched in the face. And here is MSNBC panellist Eddie Glaude saying the same thing, along with a bunch of other wild, crazy crap. This is MSNBC, folks.
And this man is running around here busting his chops, scaring the hell out of communities, right? And we're trying to figure out how to keep that middle, locked in on her when she needs to bust him in his mouth. I'm saying it like that because he's dangerous. He's dangerous to particular people. And the history of the country is such that we can't play fast and loose with it. Isn't
it incumbent on all of us to protect the people who are in danger by him?
But you never have. That's the rub. You never have.
Now, of course, Nicole Wallace didn't challenge any of that insane rhetoric, including the comment about busting Trump in the face and about his claims that Trump is a danger. No, she just agreed with him. All this after 2 assassination attempts in 2 months. And the mad rant went on further. Here is Eddie claiming Trump being elected again will leave children traumatized. Did I mention this hysteric is a professor?
Because we got to keep this troglodyte out of office. Because if he comes in, our babies are going to be in danger. Because remember, those young children are going to grow up with the memory of having to not go to school for the threat of bombs. And somebody told them that their moms and dads eat cats. They eat cats and dogs. I'll get myself together, Claire.
Okay, take a minute. Deep breaths.
Yes, deep breaths. Maybe you should have got yourself together before you went on television and spewed a bunch of deliberate lies and hysteria. And the leftist media had a new word to describe J.D. Vance's dominant performance in the debate. That wasn't a word like dominant or informed, competent, confident. No. They had something better, a backhander. See if you can spot it in this compilation.
J.D. Vance was as slick as a needle last night. He was too slick, maybe.
He's a little too slick for that.
Vance came off a bit slick tonight.
J.D. Vance was a very slick debater.
The slicker speaker.
I think he looked at shifty, he looked at slick.
Over and over, you heard lies and kind of slick answers from J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance changes personalities like most people change suits. Slick, slick, slick.
When you look over at J.D. Vance, you see a slick guy.
We all know, having worked with Van Jones, how these Yale-educated lawyers very slick.
No matter how slick J.D. may have sounded today, there is nothing decent about him.
This man is standing here lying to the country, and that's where J.D. Vance was his slickest.
J.D. Vance was very slick, but he was slick like a snake oil salesman.
J.D. Vance is slick and smooth, but he is still a bull artist.
And let's end Lefties Losing It with the epicenter of lefty lunacy. Yes, we're ending with the ladies of The View. Here is Whoopi Goldberg claiming that the far-left Hollywood echo chamber, well, it's actually right-wing. This is a response to actor Zachary Levi coming out as conservative, knowing full well that it's probably going to damage or even end his career.
Within my industry, as you can probably imagine, Hollywood is a very, very liberal town, and this very well could constitute career suicide.
So, okay. That's not necessarily true. From the beginning of Hollywood, it's always been a very right-leaning town. But yeah. I know you don't know much about the Hollywood history, so let me school you.
Oh dear, Whoopi's going to be schooling us. This should be good. I bet she'll be able to name just dozens of prominent conservatives in the industry, famous actors we've all heard of. She could barely remember the term Republicans there. I bet she doesn't know too many.
But the truth of the matter is, very few people seem to bite it because they're Republican. John Voight, who is working.
Dennis
Quaid, who is working. People are working. Stop that. It's more BS, and it's unnecessary.
Oh dear, she managed to name 2 dudes. And those 2 dudes have had their careers impacted negatively because of their politics. Talk about proving Zachary Levi's point completely. That's it from me. I'll see you Sunday morning for Outsiders. Good night.